carpet shopping. It's a lovely sunny day today, but there's a definite chill in the air telling us that winter is on its way. And although it might be tempting to stay all snuggled up and cozy inside and forget all about the garden, I think it's a great time to start thinking ahead and all about early spring colour. And what better way to start than a little shopping haul? So last weekend I had a little bit of a girls' day out and we headed to Burford Garden Centre, which if you are in the area is a definite must visit. It is my favourite garden centre in the world. It's huge, it has a fantastic selection of cakes, and it's also got a beautiful Christmas shop, art gallery, and at this time of year a bulb market, which is where most of my purchases are from. But before I go into the bulbs, I had to show you this, which I could not resist buying as a vegetable gardener and a lover of Christmas. How flipping cute is that? It's just a little broccoli. And that's going to look fabulous on my Christmas tree. But the real reason we went to Burford was for the bulb market. They have a huge variety of different types and colours that will keep your garden blooming all throughout the spring and into the summer. I've bought 6 different types, these in the back row here from Burford. And then I also visited a local nursery today and picked up a few more because I just couldn't resist. So to start off with, I've got 2 different types of iris. First, I've got the painted lady Iris reticulata, which I've never seen before. It's got white petals and a lovely sort of blue and lilac streak, which I thought would look really interesting. And then the second iris is the Pauline Iris reticulata and has deep purple petals. And what I really loved about it was that beard at the front. That white with the black specks looks a lot like leopard print, and I'm a sucker for a leopard print. So next we have a daffodil or narcissus, and this is the Edinburgh narcissus. This is apparently ideal for cut flowers. Flowers in April, has lovely pale yellow petals and a nice peachy ruffle in the middle, which I just thought was adorable. Next up I have some tulips. This is the artist tulip, and this is one that my friend made me buy. Again, another really unusual variety. It's sort of pink frilly flowers, almost with sort of a serrated style edge, dark in the middle and light on the outside, which I thought was pretty fun. And last of all, we have some crocus. So this is the Vanguard large, and these will be flowering about February, March time, with lovely pink outside petals and dark purple on the inside, which I thought was really fun. The last thing I bought from Burford, and what we're going to be doing today, is a layered planter collection. So this includes some crocus, tulips, hyacinth and daffodils that you can plant in one container in a sort of lasagna style. And I thought that would be a really lovely Christmas present from my nan, who loves flowers. So we're going to be doing that today, later. So the last things I bought from Burford were just a few seeds. So I've got 2 different types of sweet pea here. The first is beeline, which is lovely purple, pinks and orange colours. These are my favourite colours. I just think they're so bright and joyous and almost kind of tropical with the orange in there. And the second type is skylark, and I bought these mainly for the dark blue petals, which I've never seen before and I thought were really cool. The last one is a bit of an experimental one, and please correct me in the comments if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but I've bought tagetes or tagetes, which I believe are Mexican marigolds, and I've heard that they are fantastic for suppressing weeds like bindweed, so they'll be very good for the allotment if I can get them going. And then this morning I visited a local nursery to pick up a pot to do our lasagna planting in, and funnily enough they had some other bulbs, so I had to really, didn't I? So I've got some more crocus. This is a mix. We've got some lovely purple, yellows and whites, and I think there's an orange in there as well. I also picked up some tulips. This is Princess Irene, again my favourite colour combination with that pink and orange. It's going to be a real theme in my garden and the allotment next year. And then I was a bit daring and I bought 10 mystery bulbs. Not much to look at, as you can see, they look like little pickled onions, but these are dwarf tulips. and a mix of varieties. So I'm going to plant those in a separate pot and see what we get come spring. And last but not least, some started plants for winter colour. So I've got a mixed tray of pansies here. So there's a dark purple one, a lovely blue colour there, and a yellow one coming out. I have no idea what colours the other ones are. And then no winter garden is complete without cyclamen, and these are also my nan's favourites. So I'm going to be planting those in the top of the lasagna pot, so she's got some colour to look at over Christmas. Now, what on earth is a bulb lasagna, I hear you ask? I promise you it's nowhere near as delicious as an actual lasagna, but it is a lovely way to bring in lots of spring colour, especially if you have a small space. So if you only have a tiny patio or a balcony, or if you're in a rented home and can't plant anything out into the ground, container planting is the way forward for you. And a bulb lasagna is a great way to maximise on the little space you do have. So if you think of a lasagna, you've got your meat sauce or your vegetarian sauce, your white sauce, and then your pasta sheet, right? And you pile them up on one another to make a lovely, delicious tray of gorgeousness. It's a bit like that with bulb lasagnas. It's a way of using a pot to plant several different types of bulbs that are all going to flower at different times to bring you flushes of colour month after month between sort of February and May. So when do you plant bulb lasagnas? Well, now is the perfect time. Normally gardeners would be putting their spring bulbs into the ground, and so you can also start doing your planters now too. And I would start them anytime from between mid to late October, and you can even plant them as late as January if you're feeling brave. However, I would say that your crocuses and your irises scheduled for February won't come up that early. So to create a bulb lasagna, you need a few things. Firstly, a pot. This is quite a big pot because we're going to be doing 3 or 4 layers of bulbs in here. Now, commonly, spring bulb lasagnas include a few different types of bulbs. So usually you will find an early flowering option, so something like a crocus or an iris that will flower around February, March time. They would then be followed up by something like a hyacinth or a daffodil that would be March and April, and then some tulips, which will flower later on into the spring and into the summer, so late April time. What you can do if you've never done this before is buy something like this, which is a layered planting kit. Now this includes a crocus, a hyacinth, a daffodil, and a tulip, and we'll just plant those in order to make sure that they all sprout at the right time. It's important to remember that you need to plant the bulbs in reverse order of sprouting. So tulips will be at the latest, they go at the bottom of the pot. Crocuses will be the first to flower, so they go at the top. Now, I am going to be using this pack just to start me off, but I'm also going to be intermixing some different coloured bulbs as well because my nan loves colour. These are all lovely yellows and oranges, but I've decided to put in some purples and pinks as well, just for that bit of variety. So I've got everything I need here to make a start. I've got my pot, my bulbs, and just out of shot there, I've got some compost and perlite. So I'll put my gloves on and let's get started. So the first thing you need to do when planting a bulb lasagna is to ensure that you've got good drainage. So I've got quite a large pot here and I have drilled some holes into the bottom there. So these bulbs are going to be sat outside in the soil over the winter, where it's undoubtedly going to chuck it down with rain for months. So we want to make sure that they don't get waterlogged. So then I'm just grabbing some compost. This is just regular compost from our local nursery, which I'm chucking into a nice big bucket. And then I'm adding some perlite. This will aerate the soil and help with that drainage, ensuring the bulbs don't get waterlogged and rot over the winter. And then we're just giving it a good mix with the trowel. So we're going to start by putting a layer of mix into the pot. Given the size of this pot, I'm going to go for about 3.5 to 4 inches, which will give enough room for the tulip roots to spread out. And an extra scoop for luck. then it's just a case of placing the tulip bulbs. Now you want to put the pointy end up. The roots will grow from this end, the stem will grow from this end. So pointy side up. And you want to give them a good amount of space to grow. So, because I have two varieties here as well, I'm going to space them out so they sort of grow alternate. So these are the yellow ones. These are called Foxy Foxtrot, which sounds quite spicy. So I'm going to do a sort of compass situation with one there in the middle. And then following up with the artist tulips, I'm just going to fill in those gaps. Now these will flower around April time, and like I mentioned, they will be the last to sprout. So by that time, all of the other flowers above it will have died off. Now the bulbs above it will still remain in the soil. But what's really cool about lasagna planting and bulbs is that if they grow, is when the tulips grow up, and if they do hit a bulb, they will just grow around them. They won't dislodge the bulb above it. They will just find a way around and still poke up out of the soil. So that's our tulips in, and now we're just going to cover that up with some soil. So next up we have the hyacinths. Now these are a Gypsy Queen variety, which are the sort of peachy, salmony pink colour. I've only got 3 of these bulbs, but they will grow up in clusters. So I'm just going to pop them equidistant apart, same as the tulips, pointy side up, root side down. You can see some roots are already coming out there. So we're just going to pop those in a triangle. And you've guessed it, we're going to top it up with some soil. Now there's a little less soil that time because the daffodils we're about to plant will grow and flower at the same time as the hyacinths. So we don't want them to be a huge distance above the hyacinth bulbs. But saying that, I think we do need a little bit more soil in there. So the daffodils we're planting are from the bulb pack, and they are called Narcissus minnow. So they look like quite small flowers, a nice sort of pale yellow petal with a bright yellow trumpet. And we've got quite a few of these. So again, we'll just pop them in, pointy side up. These will also grow in clusters, so it doesn't matter if they're spaced quite far apart. We'll just give the plants lots of room to grow and expand. There we go. And then we'll top it up with some more soil. And actually, I vastly underestimated the amount of soil we were going to need, so I'm going to mix up some more. So just giving the pot a little tamp down there to make sure that the soil's even. So last but not least, we've got the crocus, and we've got quite a wide top of the pot here, which means I can go to town on planting these. Now all I'm going to do is just pop them on top of the soil, sprinkle a little bit more in. So these are Crocus Orange Monarch, these ones here. So they are bright orange with a sort of brown streak. Quite autumnal actually, so an unusual one for spring. And again, just pop those into the pot. And then I'm also going to use some of this mix as well, and I've got 7 bulbs in here. There's not really any rhyme or reason to the planting at the top here. I just want a nice array of different colours. partly because I don't know what colours these mixed ones are going to turn out. You can't really tell from the bulb. We'll just do a random pattern and hope it looks nice come February. There we go. And then we're just going to do a sprinkle of soil over the top of that one. So that's our bulbs all planted up. If you're anything like me, receiving a big pot of dirt for Christmas probably isn't going to get me super excited. So I'm going to experiment a little bit and add some bedding plants on the top so she's got a little bit of colour to open up the present with. I've just realised I put my gloves on to keep my hands dirty and I very quickly took them off, which that's just my life, I guess. So we have cyclamen, which are her favourite plants, and I've also got some colourful pansies here. These are shallow rooted, so they shouldn't disturb the bulbs too much, and they will die off in the early spring, ready to make room for the bulbs. So because these cyclamen are quite large, I'm only going to put one in the middle of this pot, and it will spread as it grows. So we'll pop that in the middle, and then I will just add a couple of pansies. Again, these will spread, so I'm not going to use too many. And I have no idea what colours these are going to be, so we will have to wait and see. And that is it. One pot planted up, ready for Christmas. Now, it does seem a little bit early to be making Christmas presents, but as I said, now is the perfect time to be planting spring bulbs. So I'm going to be keeping this safe in my garden, ready for Christmas Day when my nan will unwrap it. Hello, Editing Leanne here. Just to add that I did an extra dressing of compost around the cyclamen and pansies because I noticed that we're quite far from the top of the pot here, and I figured they could probably do with a little bit more bedding around them. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I'm just giving the plants a lovely drink. There is rain forecast tonight and over the next few days, so they'll have more than their fair share of water, but it doesn't hurt to start them off. And that is the finished pot. I really love the colours of the pink, the dark purple and the blue there. I think it already looks like spring, even though it's only October. So now our bulbs are nicely tucked in for winter. I've got a quick care tip for you. Once they've all flowered, wait for the leaves to die back naturally. This will help the energy go back into the bulb and it will store it ready for next year. Once the leaves have died off, take the bulbs out of the soil, remove all the extra foliage and store them in a paper bag or some netting in a cool, dry place like the shed. And then this time next year, pop them back in the soil, ready for another flush of spring blooms. So if you're trying this lasagna method for the first time, let me know how it goes in the comments below. And if you found this useful, don't forget to hit that like button. If you're new around here, you might want to consider subscribing so you can join me on my gardening journey for more helpful tips, hauls, and mindful moments. I'll see you in the next video.